Ame tofu. Ame tofu. Ame tofu. Ame tofu is a word that represents one of the Buddhas, and it is a word that is used for greeting. It is a word that is used for celebration. It is a word that is used for exclamation. Today there is no reading. And unfortunately, the bad news is there will not be any readings on these podcasts any longer. I've made a decision not to quit the podcast. As a matter of fact, more good news. I'm expanding the podcast and I will be doing 2 episodes a week. I am no longer doing readings beforehand. The new format will just be my intro and then straight into the episode. There may be some cold opens because me and my guest talked beforehand. I'm going to start recording that. There may be something that I use as a cold open and then the intro and then the episode. I'm just letting you guys know this is what the content is changing to. The reading is evolving. I will be doing reading and teaching segments. I want to tie them into where martial arts is currently and where I need it to go. I need my reading sections and my teachings and my musings to be longer. I also need people, if they've got too much of me, to have the ability to not have as much of me. So, if you see a live that I've done on YouTube, if you're tired of Paul, just don't watch it. It's fine. Or if you see a teaching and you're tired of Paul, don't watch it. That's fine. But if you would like more of my perspective, it will be out there. I'm also going to start a newsletter. I will let people know when that occurs so that you all can join it if you like. I'm also going to start a Substack because there are some things that I really want to talk about and hash out and make sure that martial arts school owners know and have. Most of it's just my perspective, trauma-informed teaching, and everything that encompasses that. But I think the not trauma-informed instructor would benefit from that knowledge, and it could help their school become a more inviting, more welcoming place. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish with martial arts, is be more welcoming and more inviting so that more people can learn, because we have this really cool, awesome thing that we want to share with people. Some of the episodes may have outros that I record. I'm not 100% sold on that. I do like the idea of coming in and having a conversation about what I took away from the episode. So that may exist. That will not exist on this episode. I'm going to say those things now because this change comes at an odd time. Episode 42. And there's very much a part of me that is zen and goes with the flow and does as my teachings tell me to. There's a part of me that this is my art and this is how I want to do it, so there's no need for an explanation. But then there's another part of me that exists, and I'm trying to dissect it and understand it. I'm trying to not be as abrasive with myself as I typically am. But there's a part of me that says, episode 42, you couldn't continue the same format for 52 fucking episodes. You couldn't do the same format for an entire year. Normally, that voice is loud enough that it would have in some way bullied me or collapsed me into a reality where I just did it. Just your right voice, and for 52 episodes do it, and then change the format after the year's time is up. I reflected on this episode that you all are about to watch with Nick, and came away with a couple martial arts lessons that I intend to absorb myself. The biggest one is the most difficult for me and has been for over 3 decades. Grace of self. Nick moves very, very strongly with the grace that he has for himself. And I am awe-inspired by it, and I look up to it, brother. If you are watching this, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I thank everybody within my Whistlekick family, purview, whatever you want to call it, for giving me back the ability to love myself. Those words are so very hard for somebody that has been through any amount of trauma, especially trauma that was formed from somebody that you were supposed to trust, a loved one, a family member, etc., etc. And it happens far too often. But as winter is upon us and everything, the leaves fall from the tree, return to the earth, and decompose to create more soil, more richness for the tree to absorb, to continue the process next year. As all of that happens, I am also shedding things. Things that I think no longer serve me, and those things include beating myself up and dragging myself through the mud. So, this is not a goodbye. This is a, I love you all, and I am expanding what I am offering to you, and I hope you come along for the ride. Keep Kicking will remain the same. It will still be interviews with people, some of which we talk about their backgrounds, some of which I poach from other podcasts, and then we don't talk about their backgrounds, and we get to have enriching conversations with or about martial art. And then some of these podcasts will be the roundtables that I was discussing. I finally figured out how to do. Some of them will be reoccurring guests, somebody that I have come back into the purview just for sake of having a conversation. It has been less than a year of me doing this podcast, and the amount of growth and personal development that I have gained, I cannot thank the people that have listened, the people that have watched, the people that have shared, the people that have supported, the people that have sat down to have that conversation with me, the people that heard me speak about my past and about my perspectives on the martial arts, and saw something that I couldn't see in myself. I sit here humbled and grateful, and I thank each and every one of you. The journey continues, my friends. Keep kicking.
Keep kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking, the martial arts podcast, where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends, some of which I have never met before. Today, I am fortunate enough to sit down with Nick, whom I had the pleasure of meeting at Martial Summit. Nick, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Greetings, everybody. My name is Nick Tabor. I am a martial artist of forever ago, something I cannot imagine my life without. I've been teaching in some form. Next March is going to be 35 years next March.
Whoa!
Wow. In some degree, it'll be 35 years in the martial arts itself. I have a unique perspective. I am a gentleman with cerebral palsy, and I've had to work a lot harder than most to get where I am, but I like to consider myself the anomaly with martial arts. You know,
No, that's awesome.
that's like 1 in 5,000 reach black belts. I think I'm 1 in 50,000.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know the exact statistic.
Mhm.
But it's definitely, I know 1 in 5,000 is like the ones who reach black belt, but the
Yeah.
true anomalies are the ones after that.
Mhm,
So
for
I
sure.
dedicate my life to really making sure that martial arts is spread around, and that's how I want to leave the world a better place.
It's a great charge to life. It's a great
Yeah,
charge to life. So tell us, Nick, how you got started in martial arts. First of all, 35 years, you've got 3 years on me, and you look younger than me, which offends me.
Yeah, brother. So, yeah, I started when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And I like to tell
Not
this
younger
story.
than me, or not older than me.
Well, I started when I was 6 years old. I'm 41 now. And how it happened was my parents wanted me to do something. And they said, you know, it's kind of a cruel world, but you got to have something to do. So the first something was local t-ball. Now, for
Okay.
those who may not know what t-ball is, it's a really fun game, if you hear my sarcasm. Set the ball onto a tee at home plate, you hit the ball on the stick, and then you watch it go somewhere. So me at 6 years old, I get up, I go to the bat, I look at the umpire, I said, this makes no sense. He says, okay, you're out. I said, all right. I just left, and we're driving home, and he's like, you don't want to do that. My dad, he goes, you don't want to do that, do you? I'm like, no, I didn't like it, Dad. I didn't like it. So we head by the Fable Fish Road in Tiverton, Rhode Island, which is a little town about a few miles away from me where I am. And there's a giant sign in front of the dojo, which was then Tiverton Taekwondo became Gifford's Academy of Martial Arts. And they had the Ninja Turtles right in the front.
Very
And,
cool.
you know, Me being a 90s kid, as the Ninja Turtles right there, I'm like, can I do that, Dad? He goes, karate. And I remember this still to this day. My dad always did something when he wanted to have serious conversations. He had it
Mm-hmm.
in the truck so he didn't have to look at me. So like, and he had this where he's like, huh. And I remember him going, okay. Like, and then he happened to know somebody who went there and said, let's check it out. And, he said, you got to do something. It's a cruel world. Let's see
Mm-hmm.
how this plays out. We met with Sensei Gifford, and I walked in and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But I remember the very back of the room, there was a sign that said, can't is a 4-letter word not used in this dojo. And I
Mm.
went, and then people were kicking and punching, and they said, you want to try it out? I went, okay. And I never left.
Wonderful.
I went through, I mean, I did take some breaks every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I got a very bad back injury when I was about 10 years old.
No.
Yeah, it was an accident during sparring. I took a roundhouse kick right in the lower back.
Mm.
And it laid me up for a little while. And then I got into a fight in school. My dad happened to see Sensei Gifford, and he's like, hey, yeah, the kid got into a fight. He's okay. He's like, bring him back. Okay. Like, and then just kept going and kept
Good.
going.
Good.
But it really became, about martial arts itself was the beauty, not only the camaraderie of it, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have an amazing, my family life was really good, but, in school, it wasn't that great. A lot of
Bullying.
unknowns, a lot of things, a lot of heavy questions. And
Mm-hmm.
I was put into a special needs class, and they said, yeah, no more of that. You're going to go into with everybody else. So it really was, I'd hate to say it was kind of like a go out and go swinging,
Yeah,
type
yeah.
scenario. So it's like, okay, he's going to learn to fight and he's going to learn to love it, so to speak, but it really, what came out of it really was not only just the punches and the kicks, but it's the story that
For
comes out of
sure.
it and what we can do as martial artists versus what non-martial artists think we can do.
Absolutely.
You know
And
what I mean,
also,
bro?
it's
Yeah.
it's also every martial artist, the one we have two things in common. One, punches and kicks,
Yeah.
and two,
Yeah.
that we have all overcome something,
Yeah.
whether it even be as simple as fear of speaking in front of other people
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something more than that.
Yeah.
So tell me what kept you going.
All right. So this is
What's kept it so that you got 30?
Yeah. What kept me going was the challenge every time that I come up against something. There's a
Mm-hmm.
challenge and I watch myself grow. Now, I love telling this story, but for those, I know you have visual on your podcast, Paul, but I have a
Yeah.
tattoo that says climb on my wrist.
Awesome.
And just a reminder to keep going and keep, reminder myself to do from a non-martial artist book, but it's from a book called Your One Word by a buddy of mine, Evan Carmichael, where it really is boiled down your personality to one thing. And it really is the challenge to keep pushing people and the challenge to keep climbing that mountain. Now, we know as black belts, right, that we climb the mountain, we're never going to reach the peak.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
because we keep climbing. We look, okay, good. We land there. There's more to go. And we
Mm-hmm.
keep enjoying that time because there's more to learn. There's more to do that. Now, I'll get into this one, like, because what keeps me going. When I was a kid, my right arm was all the way up here,
Oh, okay.
locked up, looking like a chicken wing.
All right.
So like when it starts to move and they're like, okay, so I would fight, and this is more for the visuals, but I would do the fight. I had
Yeah.
my left arm forward, but my chest was wide out.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn to move my arm in.
Mm.
So one of the things what took longer for me was I would stand in front of my bathroom mirror for long stretches of time and just watch where my hands were, to the point where I would start to feel every muscle and start to know, okay, if I feel a tightness right here, I know my arm's in front of my shoulder. And if I knew where it was, if I had to move it, if I had to move it this way, okay, I know where my arm's going to be, because I know if I got a thrust punch, or if I got to return the reverse, or whatever I have to do. No, for those of you who are on audio, you missed an awesome visual.
That's right. That's right. We had some Dragon Ball Z effects, and
But you see, what happened was every time I tried something, it took me a little longer, but I knew that person who was every belt that I ascended, I knew that everything I put into it was different. And then when I was 12 years old, one of the things in Gifford's Academy when we were growing up, the expectation and the culture was that the older belts helped the younger belts. And I fell in love with teaching. And, it was just a matter of, hey, can you go help little Billy with his stances a little bit? Or he's struggling with that front kick and that kata. Can you do something? Sure. No problem. Okay, good. But then it became, when I was 11, 12 years old, I was at the brown belt level. And Sensei Gifford would give us a class and say, okay, you got a class plan, and one of the stripes on the belts was teach your class. See how you do. And it really was, you're good. Like, pushing you're good. And I said, all right. I said, hey, I want to make a deal with you. He said, what you thinking? I said, I want to come in. Classes would start like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. I can't remember the exact time. Would run until 9 o'clock at night. So white belts, advanced kids, and then adults.
Sure.
I said, I'll do the whole day. So, what? I'm like, I got an idea. I'll do all 3 classes. I'll get them all done for you. It's like, I said, if I go through all of them, is it something that, I'll have the stripe? Because usually he would, you'd earn the stripes, but then he would give them to you later on.
Sure.
So there are sometimes of if I get this and really nail it, could I have it before I go home? He's like, yeah, okay. And I did those. He shook my hand. It's like, nobody was better prepared than you. And I could really tell you have a lot of love in this. It's like you get more joy out of helping people than you do in the cottage yourself. You might have a career here. I do? He's like, yeah, you could do this. He's like, you really, and Sensei Gifford is an ex-Marine. Now, this was a dude, day and age before social media. He did half the stuff, and you probably had some tough senseis yourself.
For sure.
That would do stuff that social media would get him canceled immediately.
Yep.
There's a story I told this on my podcast. He would take this giant sword, would do horse dances, and he'd run it on the ground next to our feet. If it wasn't straight, your toes got hit. Right?
There you go.
Still to this day, now here's the funny part. Still to this day, my horse stance is perfect.
For sure.
Right? It's absolutely just dead on. Now, 2 years ago, I learned something. That sword was unsharpened. And I went, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I never told you guys. You guys did it, but you believed it. I went, oh. And then, as I go on and I'm it sounds really weird to say I'm on the senior side of things, or I go to a tournament and I'm in the executive division. And I'm like, God damn, really? But as I get there, I start to see people, and I created the chus, and I'm the second generation of this practice, chus and do, which is the way of oneself, a blend of taekwondo, kempo, tai chi, and I throw in a few other things there. but Sensei Gifford created it. And it was a system built, and he's just, on my wedding day, he said, I'm retired. This is yours. And I went, whoa. He's like,
Well,
no, he's like,
that's a good wedding gift.
he's like, you're the only one I trust with this. It's yours. I went, boy, no, like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, how'd it go? Like, talking to my brother later, I'm like, I just got the Chus and Dough system for a wedding gift.
Yeah.
Ooh, like that grave responsibility that sits on me,
Right.
and it's the if you want me to get into what Chus and Dough is,
Sure.
okay,
Absolutely.
which is the way of oneself. So I rebuilt the system, and I tore it down, rebuilt it. There was 5 tenets to the system, which is similar to Taekwondo: courtesy, self-control, indomitable spirit, perseverance, integrity. And I added on honesty and humor and made the 7. So people are looking at it, I'm like, what, did you do martial arts? You just got to be funny? I'm like, well, that's a gift for me. Like, some of my kids are really funny,
For
but
sure.
when you can put yourself into it and
Absolutely.
find the joy in order to find the humor in life, the better things are going to be.
Well, and
You
also
know?
the humanity. That's
Humanity, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Or some things happen, like, I have a student who has, and I sprinkle a lot of these things in without them noticing. Like, I'm really good at mat chats and stuff, like in between talking and dispensing a lot of wisdom that I have. And we walk into the dojo, and I have a space that I share at a gym. And there's a bag there. It's a guy with a torso, no arms. And one of my students, he has cerebral palsy on his left arm. I have it in the right. And he looks at me and he goes, hey, look at that guy. He's got no arms. And yeah, he's like, Sensei, we're doing better than him, aren't we? And I was a split second mad that I didn't make that joke.
Right.
I'm like, oh, man, that's golden, bro. And of course, the day and age of social media, wish you whipped your phone out and did it again. I'm like,
All right.
that's funny, bro. It's funny. But it is also, you're right, with the humanity to find it, and things that you do where you find courtesy and little things that breathe elements of what I want my students to be when they're old. Like, even if they come to me and they're there for a little while, I've had students 20 odd years ago still find me and go, dude, I remember what you told me, and it is awesome. It still hits me to this day, and I'm like, what did I say?
Right. He's more specific. Said a lot.
What did I say?
Right.
But then they tell me something that they did, and I'm like, oh, wow, yeah. I
guess I
that?
did say that. Right.
No shit,
Are you
really?
sure? Right.
Cool, all right.
I had a conversation with another gentleman earlier, and we talked about martial art, and I quoted to him a Sifu that was at Martial Summit, because Sifu said that we will never be able to give as much to the martial arts as martial art gave to us.
Yeah.
And what
dude.
what he said in return was that he had an instructor who said that we are not martial artists. Our job is not to be martial artists. Our job is to be the perfect conduit for martial arts to flow through.
Yeah.
And so, like, that opened up a lot for me. That was a good thing. So let me ask you, you touched a little bit on like barriers that you faced in your own practice.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit more about those barriers. And then also I'm interested in barriers that you face as a teacher.
Well, there's a lot of different barriers in general, but the sign in the dojo was can't is a 4-letter word. People always questioned me, when I was little, going, what can he do? Not doubting necessarily that I could do it, but I think in their own way, naturally as humans, we kind of go, all right, we're trying to size it up. And
Mhm.
creative people, mostly who get involved in this field, mostly we
Mhm.
have some creativity. It's an art, martial artists. We are artists. Like we have this, and you imagine a jigsaw puzzle that's missing one piece. Our brains do not like that we're missing something,
Mm.
so it fills in
Mhm.
something or tries to create a story. But
Mhm.
what happens in the culture that Sensei Gifford, Sensei Curry, and eventually myself really got out to was, let's all talk to each other.
Mm.
And once you see, like, I think there are things, and you and I have interacted, and I'm not saying you ever had a doubt in me, Paul,
Mhm.
of me at all, but like, once you see the way I do things, you go, okay, he's got something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, it's just the
Mhm.
matter of it really is a barrier was give me a chance. Could I? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get into the ring. And one of the things I loved as a kid, and this came up at the last Martial Summit, and I got really super giddy, was practice we did rarely on sparring nights called Ring of Fire.
Yep.
And Paul's smiling, you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
So for listeners, viewers,
Mhm.
one person's in the middle, and then everybody surrounds that person.
Mhm.
Everybody gets a number, and then when the sensei calls out a number, that person comes in and attacks.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know about you, but my version of it was if you hit the person there, you're in the ring now.
Mhm.
And then it
Mhm.
cycles through.
Mhm.
So for me, it was just, I loved that because there was an enormous amount of doubt. But it
Mm.
always became, I can do better tomorrow, and I get to do this. Like, there are many things with martial art, gifts that martial arts have given me. And one of the things is I get to do things that on paper I shouldn't have done. You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Or
should
that
not have
society
done.
says you shouldn't do.
Right. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
born 9.5 weeks early. I spent 2 months in an incubator because I wasn't fully cooked yet. You know, Have you ever taken a plate of brownies out of the oven? They're a little underdone, but still sweet.
Yes.
That's me. I came out half cooked, bro,
But still sweet.
but still sweet. Yeah.
But still sweet. I like that.
I told that joke to Jeremy Lesniak the first day I met him within 10 minutes, and he was almost crawling on the floor, even. Like, I love the guy to death. He is my boss, but I mean, my God, it was just like one of those. I just remember I'm like, we're going to be friends.
Yeah. That's great.
We're with barriers. I think also when I teach, there's always a little element of doubt, but I really push it first is I really push the initial conversation with the parents because
Mhm.
it comes in with the kids and the adults are kind of like, they get there on their
Mhm.
own. The
Mhm.
kids, it kind of takes a little while. The parents are like, who am I leaving this guy with?
Right.
Like, who am
Right.
I leaving my kid with? And once they figure it out, they go, okay, that's cool because I'm not just teaching kicks and punches. I mean, we're all that way.
For sure.
But what I'm doing is building the mental blocks and building those things to make these kids better people
Mhm.
and to see where their own barrier is and realize that you said it already, the barrier is from the society.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
the society is saying, oh, well, so and so can't do this. Let's go over here.
Mhm.
Or so and so can't do this. And then when somebody says to me, still to this day, I don't think you can do this, I'm going to be like, who the hell are you? You know,
Right. Right.
who the hell are
Right.
you? Okay, what? Like, I was in a class when I'm not going to name the name of the person, but a person who I genuinely respect and really think she was a great teacher walked up and it
For a
was
second, I was like,
Kendo's.
it's me. I'm joking.
She was teaching Kendo stick fighting. And then it's like, he can't swing the stick with his right arm. I'm like, the hell with you? I'm like, I leaned over. I'm like, you have no idea what I can't do. Like,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then did the rest of the class swinging my right arm and just went, okay. They're just like, yeah, you're good. Like, I mean, like, you're good. It's just my natural push. And
I
maybe it's
think
a Southern New England thing too.
it's also that you don't know your can't because you
Yeah, I
haven't
don't.
allowed it. You haven't
No,
allowed
I
it.
don't. No,
And I
no.
think so, like, there's a lot here to unpack and a lot
That's
that I
right.
think is really interesting. But like one of the things us as martial artists, what we're ultimately doing is exchanging perspectives.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because like
Yes, I do.
the art that we all love and that we all these craze where people were selling DVDs. We have video instruction, but the vast majority of it is book and written word and articulated conversation pass all this stuff down. And so in that, I'm sharing my perspective on these techniques. You're sharing your perspective on these techniques. And in doing so, we expand somebody's perspective. But what I think is beautiful about what you have going on is you're expanding their perspective in more than one way.
Exactly.
Do you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Thank you. Thank
Because
you, man.
because you got a student who now is going to treat somebody else with respect if they
Right.
run into somebody that's handicapped or
Yep.
what have you, that they
Yeah,
might not have done before prior. So
exactly.
like you're not only teaching martial arts, but you're working outside of that societal.
And that's really
Love
what
it.
martial arts really is.
100%.
You know?
100%. Some people don't get there with it though. That's
Yeah.
fine. But
Right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
For sure. So I usually ask the question of how has teaching helped your martial art? But it feels more like how has martial art helped you teach? And like the two for you are more symbiotic than the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, martial arts has helped me teach because it's made me empathetic a lot, like
Mhm.
to be
Mhm.
able to understand, we're not going to tell a baby is stupid because they haven't walked yet. Go, you dumb baby,
I might.
yeah, you are a different breed, brother. You are a different breed.
But
But
that reminds me of did you ever see Ghostbusters 2 by some chance? Bill Murray grabs a baby and he's
yeah,
like, "You want me to put this baby down?" And she's like, "Yes, please." He goes, "You're ugly, no
yes.
good, terrible burden on your poor mother."
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have. But yeah, there's like it's like we're never gonna tell the baby's stupid, right?
Right,
But it's
right.
just like if somebody, a person who walks onto our dojo floor the first time is not going to be amazing right away. And you're there, but it's gonna take them time for it, as much as like when I was a substitute teacher and I would teach them things and like we were going over history stuff.
Mhm.
They memorize a name and a date. Cool,
Mhm.
but can't they explain why that's important?
Mhm.
Why is it important that, why is it important that we know July 4th, 1776? Well, that's a day, but it's just like, well, what happened? Why do we do that?
Mhm.
And why is it our thing? But, it's just like when you're doing something and to get to martial arts side, if you have somebody like one of my students who he has Down syndrome.
Mhm.
And, it took a little while. And I have another kid who he's on the autism spectrum.
Mhm.
But, and the first form that I teach is a Pumsai called Il Pumsai. Eight moves, 2 forward, 4 back, 2 forward. Not really a lot there, but they know the down blocks, outward blocks, and then they're like, okay, I kind of got it. But it's also about what we teach is as opposed to quote the normal teachers, because we
Mhm.
ain't normal. You know
Mhm.
that we're
Mhm.
not normal at all. Well, what the normal
I'm not
teachers
normal.
teaches, no, I ain't normal. Hell no, no. But with is like you got to get an A because you have to get this. So they're teaching perfection immediately.
Mm.
Well, what we teach is we teach. Okay, we have the one who is struggling getting the kick above their waist, but they chambered the kick amazingly well. Jimmy, you did awesome on that chamber, dude. Okay, you're a little low here. Your knee's correct. Your toes are awesome. Great front kick, okay? Let's go get the stretches so you can get that a little bit higher. But let's work on that next week. A little, dude, you're a little bit higher. Good job. Awesome. And then what we're doing is we're training them to understand that they learn. Right. And that's where the empathy comes into play, because I used to be, I mean, there were times when I was a senior student where I would be the more military-like one. Okay, you do this, 50 push-ups, blah, blah, blah. And then, people didn't really want to stay. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? And I'm like, well, Sensei Gifford, the Marine, would go, well, you yelled at them like crazy, but then you treated the other ones just fine. No wonder why they don't
Right.
like, oh, okay. But it's like, maybe this is a long answer, and I'm sorry if it is.
No.
Okay,
Keep
cool.
going, keep going.
But it's just like when you have that opportunity to get there and sit with that person and watch the progress. It's like watching somebody, if you have a child, watching them, they take their steps, then they start running, then they start walking, and then they're talking, and then they're talking back to you. Like, well, can you sit down again for a second? Yeah. Or what can you do? I'm a kid, of course, but then you're like, wow, look at them becoming this person. And when they do reach that black belt level, eventually, and I've had some students reach high levels, but when they do reach it, you go, wow, where's that, that little white belt still there? And you go, wow, but look at everything they've done. That's great. And that's something that, I guess it's another thing that keeps me going too now.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've had a lot of experience in teaching a lot of different people, and I have only had one.
Lost you a bit there. There you go.
We good? Okay.
Drop the audio a second.
I've only had one experience with teaching somebody with cerebral palsy, and I feel like I probably did an okay job. This was 2 decades ago or better. This was a long time ago, and I was a very young martial artist at the time. But we would teach her how to fight with her cane. We would teach her, her cane would be some of her kicks. Her cane would be some of her arm movements.
Yeah.
But it was successful because it gave her the confidence she needed to know that if she was going to be attacked, she'd be okay,
Yeah.
But what advice do you have for any teacher that is trying to teach somebody that has cerebral palsy?
Well, first of all, meet them where they are. That there's going to be some things that you can, or that they can do. There's going to be some things that are a challenge. You notice I'm not using the word can't. You're going to want to write things off right away and say, okay, this so-and-so can't do this, do that. I'm guilty of this myself. And I'll get into that in a second. But it's the seeds that you plant that'll help them, and talk with them. I'm worried about you're not able to do this, this, and this. But what you want to do is to break down things. And I did a course called, a presentation called When Your Students Can't Do It. And you look at the purpose of something. And then say, okay, what are you trying to accomplish out of this? And what are the students' barriers? And then what's the alternative? So, for example, if you have a student who has cerebral palsy, maybe they can't close their right arm, or they can't do something, or they're struggling with this. So they're struggling doing a punch that's really, really interesting. And then, okay, well, what's the purpose of doing the punch? The punch is to counter an attack. Can they do this with a left hand? Great, but they're not going to be able to do all this. So what the barrier is, the arm's a little bit slow. So what's the alternative to practicing this? Well, they might not be able to jump in and do a ring of fire right away, but they can do are there for a reason, but they can do the punches really slowly and
Mm-hmm.
do the high block and punch and do
Mm-hmm.
that really slow so they get the motion. Eventually, with the idea, they're going to speed up.
Mm-hmm.
It might take them longer to go through some things,
Mm-hmm.
but celebrate every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they can do this outward block, and maybe the wrist is I'm kicking the wrist down for a reason here.
Mm-hmm.
It's this and not, not a full outward block, but they
Mm-hmm.
still got that motion. They could still do it. Okay, you maintain your standards. But the moment you start writing them off
Mm-hmm.
is the moment you're going to do that, because when you start cutting and counting out somebody,
Mm-hmm.
not only do you run the risk of losing that said student, I can guarantee you are going to lose 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
Because said people, there are so many other people, and you probably know this, you've been at this a while like me. There are many people who have issues but will never say it until it comes up.
For
Or will
sure.
have trauma in the past that it won't come up, and I'm saying that, but
Mm-hmm.
that will not come up until later on.
Mm-hmm.
But you run the risk of people bowing out and you have no idea why.
Mm-hmm.
But then saying, so-and-so, oh yeah, the person who's in the wheelchair, they can't do spin kicks. Well, the person in the wheelchair is going, well, yeah, I know. Okay, let's do back fists instead. Okay, good.
Right.
I know I can't do that. Yeah, duh. But I'm there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 10 belts in my system, and they might go a few belts and do here, but don't discount the fact of what they're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They might get a few belts in and go, okay, thank you, I'm out. I think I've gone as far as I can. But, you're not going to want a black belt out of every single person.
Mm.
I made that mistake when I was first an instructor on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
desperately wanted a black belt out of every single kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened? None of them got below.
And
I
you
think
got
the highest ever,
heartbroken.
and never got there. And I was
Mhm.
distraught. I think the highest I got was somebody to brown belt, which was 2 away.
Yeah.
I think that was the highest one, but then you're serving your own ego with that, and you're not serving the person.
Mm-hmm.
They happen to be there. They're lucky enough to be in your system.
Mm-hmm.
Roll with it. Literally roll
For
with
sure.
it and see where it is and count that's my get to. I get to make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely.
I get to do this. I spend time recording right now. I know you're further out, but right now we're recording the week of Thanksgiving. I spend
Mhm.
time writing thank you notes, not because it's Thanksgiving, but genuinely saying, hey guys, this is awesome.
Yes.
This is awesome. And just to hear it for myself,
Yes.
but
Well, gratitude is an exercise that we all need to do.
we do.
And
We do.
let's go back to Kant for a little bit. Okay, so somebody like you that's disabled and doesn't have use of both their limbs in the full capacity, as a martial artist, to me, that was not the barrier in teaching somebody with cerebral palsy. Because the answer to me has never been they can't do, let's just pick a palm heel strike.
Yep.
Right? Can't
Yep.
do a full opened palm heel strike. And I have never had that thought of you can't. My thought has always been, how do you modify the technique so that it's still the same thing?
That's
One of
why
my
you're one of the greats.
One of my first instructors, I don't know about that. I've just been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you
One of my first instructors, may he rest in peace, when he taught a form, you teach the form and you get the form down. And then afterward, he goes, now do the same footwork, but change every single hand. If it's a punch, make it a spear. If it's a block, keep it a block, make it a different block.
All right.
And so it's just a different way to read the form, and it builds your improv muscle instead of the repetition muscle.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I think that maybe that in some way, shape, or form contributes to it. But let's take let's take a spinning kick. You got a person in a wheelchair who can't do a spinning kick. Why
Yeah.
can't they?
Right.
Is
You
my
know,
question.
yeah,
Wheels spin pretty quick. Like
exactly.
they can do a spin. They can
Yeah,
execute that. They can execute a spin probably better than I can, you
probably.
know?
Yeah,
And so then what's in place of the foot? Because if I kick you, that's just me punching you with my foot. So
yeah,
why can they not perform a spin with a hammer fist? And now they have a spinning kick. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it never understood. But that also is where's my phone? That's also another point that when I teach, I'm crazy. What's this?
Batman.
It's
Man.
no, it's a phone. It's a phone, right?
Okay,
Okay.
I saw the Batman
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it is Batman. It is Batman.
Okay,
Because
cool.
I love Batman. Everything's Batman. So when somebody says this is a phone in class, I say you're wrong because if you label something, you lose sight of it entirely, right?
Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
thinking it's a phone doesn't let you use it as a weapon. But if I
Right.
shelf it like it's a katana, it makes a really good weapon and it'll go
Yeah,
really
right.
good into somebody's throat, into
Yeah.
somebody's eye,
Yeah.
ribs.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
always lead with, oh, did I lose you? Okay,
Right
there
here.
we go. I always lead with if you define something, you lose sight of it entirely.
That is really cool. That
Yeah.
is really cool. I like that.
So
I
so
like that. And
go ahead.
I think, what we do with that, we put our limitations on ourselves and also with that, to the people as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
was talking with a couple of my kids, and, they said, I got to do a little plug here, but, me
Do it.
being the tournament director for Whistlekick, which I'm very
Mm.
proud of,
Mm-hmm.
talking about tournaments. And I said, well, Sensei, when can we do tournaments? Now, I have 3 kids in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Cerebral palsy, kid here, and I was telling this to one, and I had the others in there, so never mind. But they weren't all together, but they all had
Mm-hmm.
pretty much a similar thing. And I said, "Hey guys, I said I'd love to have you in a tournament. I think one of the things that would be good is having you guys in the physically challenged division,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because you want to get used to it." And then one of my kids, Ben, stops me. He says, "Sensei, were you ever in a physically challenged division yourself?" And I wasn't prepared for this. Hold on, wait. So he
God,
says,
that's a tough question though, isn't
yeah,
it?
I said, no, I never was. Why the hell should I be in it?
Mm.
And I went, like, and I was telling this story, and I went and I was helping my parents out, and I was telling my mom this, and she said, yeah, you put the limitations on him that other people put on you. But
Mm-hmm.
he already busts through that, and he busts through it with you. Just by saying, no, I'll do everything. I'll do this myself and figure out. He's like, but it's not about the trophies. You said this. It's about getting up to bat. I went, oh, and I went, oh, shoot, he's listening.
Right.
Oh, damn.
I always hate when my lessons are used against me.
Right. And I went, wait a minute. He's listening, dang, wait. But it is something we do, and it was an unconscious thing because I wanted to do it. I realized I was trying to protect him. Protect them because, I get like this older brother fatherly role to a
For sure.
degree. And then I'm like, I want to do that. But then I put the definition on them and
Mm-hmm.
they also kicked it back on me. And I went, okay, now let's see what we can do because those are seeds. Because when you talk about the first tenet of courtesy, it's courtesy to yourself and then
Mm-hmm.
courtesy towards others.
Mm-hmm.
Because the courtesy to yourself is to not use words like I'm stupid or I'm an idiot or
Mm-hmm.
using the R word to,
Mm.
to something where they would say it to ourselves, more or less we would do more growing up to ourselves. But
Mm-hmm.
then also to other people realizing that if I said something like, no, you belong here, them having the ability not only to stand up for themselves, but to say, no, I think this is a better perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If we go and even
Absolutely.
if I don't get a medal, that doesn't matter, but I'm doing it. And then I had the flash vision of the future, and I went, wait a minute, these are the seeds that they planted in me, that I'm planting in them. And I went, that's the reality that has to be.
For sure.
That's the reality. That's what we do. That's the real martial arts teaching.
Your tree has already grown and bear fruit.
Yeah, so starting to, my own tree. Yes, my tree.
Yes.
Well, I'm a hardened bark with a bunch of writing on it, man. But, like, mutual friend of ours, Sifu Steve Watson, he buried something in me that I never thought of, but he said this, it was so perfect, was the real martial artists were not the guys who are going to get into an alleyway and take out 8 guys. Because the Kung Fu movies aren't representing reality.
Sure.
But the real martial artist is somebody whose car breaks down and they don't lose it. Who just realizes, oh, this is not good. Okay, let me call, and they do that. And then we're doing, because it's the mental battle that we really have. Most of our students will probably never see a fight.
That's right.
And if they do, it's probably going to be so minuscule going, oh, yeah, somebody shoved me, I shoved them, they shoved me, and then they were on the floor. Like, was that it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
how
probably it. But at least you had that fortitude to say, I can step in, or okay, I can do this. And you're not flaunting and walking and John Travolta strutting, going, I know karate. I know this. Now, again, if you're watching the visual here, you watched a really awesome dance move.
Yeah. There was so much majesty flowing.
It was, man. It was cool.
From Sensei Nick, that the cameras went all white for just a moment. Okay.
Yeah, it did, brother.
So, brother, now I get to ask you the difficult question.
Do it, man. What's up?
Which is the question that, this podcast has been a lot of different things for me, building community where, first of all, we're almost at 50 minutes and this is probably going to go over. And I always ask if everybody's okay with that. Are you okay with it going longer than an hour?
I'm going rolling, man. I'm good.
Because I want to ask you the difficult question and then I want to talk a little bit about community. But part of it was building community. The other part is that I'm selfish, just selfish, so I want to, the same reason I teach so that I can take a technique and throw it to a dozen different perspectives and watch what they do with it. And then as they're dissecting it, I see things that I didn't see prior and it makes it better. So the question starts with an omission. As a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, I recognize that I am both equal parts sadistic and masochistic, and that I am a little bit special in that regard. But not everybody is like that. So the difficult question is, how do you teach nonviolent people to speak the language of violence?
Okay. So one of the things that I don't talk about outright, but I kind of sprinkle it into everything that I do. I'm a massive fan of old Marvel, I, and this comes to a point here. I've always identified with Spider-Man and Peter Parker.
Okay.
You have Batman, you have Superman, and you have Spider-Man. That is an awesome tattoo, by the way. So I grew up on all of this, and this is not knocking Batman by far, but from my own perspective, Superman came from Krypton, right?
Right.
Came from Krypton, came in, already had these abilities born into him. Bruce Wayne, who is Batman and plays Bruce Wayne, taught himself, but if he didn't have the money, he wouldn't have been who he was. Now, there's some cool. Batman's still cool because he has that conflict. Peter Parker plays Spider-Man, knows he has the abilities, but still has to deal with being Peter Parker. He still has to deal with Gwen Stacy. He still has to deal with Mary Jane, with his aunt, and the fact that his Uncle Ben died in front of him, and all that other stuff. So, one of the things Spider-Man does is Spider-Man is comfortable in his abilities, but only uses it when he necessarily has to.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm plucking from bits of the movies. He sees Mary Jane fall, or he sees Doc Ock or somebody coming after him. He's not going to respond unless Doc Ock is there,
Mm-hmm.
or unless if the Green Goblin is coming after him. So, no, shoot, okay, let's do this. Almost he knows he has the ability, but he almost begrudgingly puts the mask on sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So so we get to this with your question with nonviolent to violence. You always think of something. When I first meet with a student, I really get into their why.
Mm-hmm.
And they join for a variety of reasons. I'm being picked on at school, or I need the confidence, or I've had students say, I just want to be able to walk from my office to the car without feeling like something's behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, cool, I'm with you. But when you learn this, is you learn to be able to say you can use this, but only when your why is activated.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I still train now because I want to be the best husband I can be.
Mm.
And I train scenarios in my house, or I do something, and I think, if my wife was ever attacked, or if something ever happened to my family, I would be able to respond. Am I going
Mm-hmm.
to put myself in situations where am I going to go to the bar just to have somebody, try to hit on my wife, and I'm going to go ahead, come in there and go, hey, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be ready for it and know that I have the ability to when I need to step in.
Mm-hmm.
So when I teach them, it's okay, you're going to turn from nonviolence to violence. Okay. And my kids who are listening to this right now are looking at that thinking, oh my God, that's what he was talking about the whole time. Because I don't say all this outright. I let the lessons go
Mm-hmm.
in, but then
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting my motivation out right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what he's talking about the whole time. He's talking about Spider-Man. Spider-Man is awesome. But you have those abilities to push.
Mm-hmm.
You have you can do it. You know it's inside you. Do you want to do it all the time? No, but if you have to, okay, get in there and do your thing. That's my answer for that.
I like that answer. I like that
Thank you,
answer
man.
a lot.
Thank you, man.
Okay,
Thank you.
so community, we're going to work backwards, and we're going to start with, you can go on and tell us about Whistlekick. Tell us about how you got involved in Whistlekick. Tell us about Whistlekick tournaments. You can plug as much Whistlekick as you want. I love it. I've been there. I got the hoodie, part of the
Yeah.
family. You know what I'm saying? If I had a
Yeah.
school, I would be an affiliate. When I
Yeah.
get a school, because Marshall Summit's got me looking at spaces for a school. When I get a
Yeah.
school, it's going to be a Whistlekick affiliated school. So go ahead, Whistlekick us up.
Okay. So I'm gonna back up a little bit before Whistlekick.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was a personal trainer for a while.
Okay.
And I do my thing. I had this business, Nick
As in
Tabor,
like a physical personal trainer.
physical personal trainer.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
So I
Just
was
clarify.
teaching at this gym, and I had these clients, and they were saying, you always talk about your martial arts. Can we take some lessons from you? And I'm like, okay, cool. And I said, that's a cool thing. Great. So I started slowly converting and bringing back Tabor's martial arts again, because more people were not really interested in the weights, but the cardio, and then their whys
Mm-hmm.
came out. And then I'm like, ooh, cool. And then I got hired by this company called Livestream. And Livestream was a company that takes care of disabled people locally here, but it's
Okay.
like an adult daycare.
Okay.
At least that's the division for it. And they said, you want to come help teach martial arts here to our students? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Right.
And, the guy, I went to high school with the guy, and he said, how much do you charge an hour? And I said, well, my rate's usually $30 an hour. He said, I will pay you $150 an hour. whoa, right? I'm like,
Yes.
okay. So he's like, we'll try it as a trial basis and keep going. And it kept going and going and going and going and going. Well, this was February 2020. We
Mm.
all know what happened in March.
Mm-hmm.
So March 2020, the world ends.
Mm-hmm.
Completely, I call COVID-19 human malware. That
Mm-hmm.
happens, and I went, oh no. Like,
Mm.
and then I had, I had to find a new job. I still did some training, but I was doing podcasting, and I had, my podcast, if you don't mind me plugging Real Talk
Go.
with Sensei Nick. And I was doing that, and I got a podcast agent, Steve. And, Steve and I were kind of, he was a good guy, but it wasn't really it wasn't the job that he wasn't really happy. And, he was kind of fading his way out. I was going my way
Mm.
and, I'm interviewing people and doing stuff and says, hey, dude, I need you to go on this podcast. I went, oh man, it's like, dude, one more for me. Can you do one more podcast? I said, okay. It was Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio. So April 2022, I sit down in my kitchen. I'm on this very same laptop.
Mm.
And, it comes up and I went, oh, okay. Jeremy Lesniak comes up. And I went, my very first thought was, thank God he's bald. I went, he's bald. Great. And then we had a conversation about how I started. And I was teaching at this time. I didn't have very many, but it was sort of unofficial.
Mm-hmm.
Here and there, teaching my niece and other things, and just kind of a fractured thing. So I told my story and most of what I already told you guys. And, it was a great conversation. Extremely good. It was episode 806 of Martial Arts Radio. I got to get that tattooed on me just so I can remember it. But, he said, hey, there's this thing I'm doing called Martial Summit. It's in November in Keene, New Hampshire. I need you to come up here and teach.
Mm.
And I went, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, I ended up finding a hotel room. I found the days, okay, got on the calendar to teach. I was going to teach the 7 tenets of Jocelyn Do. And I had some people there, and then the love that came back.
Mm.
Just
Absolutely.
massively, not only with people who, Mark Warner, Steve Watson, Jenny Nather, just to name a few,
Mm-hmm.
who came up with just, it felt like I knew these people. Steve Watson and I were making plans to sabotage one class or lean on the door and then pretend we were listening the entire time. And then we were calling each other Lenny and Squiggy for a little while. And I went, and immediately we're cracking jokes. And I went, wow, this
Mm-hmm.
guy's good. And Steve Watson, who he had a class just before me, and he had an interesting class called The Questions That Never Have Answers. And of
Mm.
course, I'm sitting there sweating. And for some reason, he just put his hand on my shoulder and went, all right, dude, you're going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whoa. And, then others who came up and it became, hey, can you help out with, I would like to help out with Never Settle Awards, which is
Mm-hmm.
part of the banquet that we do and a part of the awards thing that we do with Whistlekick.
Mm-hmm.
And which is where people are nominated and run. It's all people voting for them and people nominating, and it's not, no money is exchanged for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legit, genuine recognition award show.
Right. Right.
And I got tapped on the shoulder by a woman named Liz and said, hey, can you help us out? I went, yeah, okay, I can do that. And I started getting more into the folds. Little did I know, no, he's going to yell at me for this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Little did I know, Jeremy Lesniak is kind of circling my orbit,
Mm.
just testing out. And he said, hey, would you mind doing a presentation for Whistlekick Alliance? Yeah, okay, what are you thinking? And I was sitting at this very same desk, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I want you to teach about how to teach disabled people from your own expertise so people can do it as a reference. Now, I happen to be at that given moment writing notes for a class on how to teach disabled people for Marshall Summit that year.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Okay.
this dude is in my head. I'm like, are you looking around at a camera? What the frick are you doing? It's like, can you do this? So the next, I'm like, he's like, when can you do this? I'm like, Jeremy, I can do it tomorrow. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I can. So then he's like, okay, you can do this. He's like, hey, I need help with the project. Okay, so we did this. I forgot 100% what the project was, but it, quote, failed. So he's like, all right, you can learn, you could do better. And then he said, hey, let me level with you. I was testing you. I want to interview you. I'm like, come again?
Mm-hmm.
Said, I'm seeing where you're pressure testing you as somebody would go for a black belt to see what you can do. It's like, I want to do tournaments and I want
Mm-hmm.
you to run the division. I'm like, huh? So,
Mm.
he's run through this. He said, let's offer it. Let's do this. And they said, I want to offer tournaments that are unlike any other. And I want a disruptor who can get in there and do things differently and not be afraid to shake a little tail feather every now and then. Or, or to do that. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. All right. I'm like, yeah. All right. He said, we'll do this. He said, what do you think? I'm like, yes, I accept. That's great. So, okay, good. He shut the Zoom off. I went, oh, shoot, I just accepted a job and I didn't tell my wife about this. She's getting out of bed. He goes, hey, what's going on? I heard you're really excited. I'm like, I just took a second job with Whistle Kick Martial Arts. Like, what? And I told her everything. She's like, that's awesome. I'm like, cool. All right, cool. Okay. So, cool. Crisis
That's good that you
averted.
have support. Yes.
Yeah, and now it led to 2025. We've done 2 tournaments. We've done the Whistle Kick Showdown, which was in Concord in March. We did the
Mm-hmm.
Whistle Kick Championship, which was in Keene, New Hampshire in September. We had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, no word of a lie, and I'm going to be very, very honest about this. The Whistle Kick Showdown, I slept for, within 5 days up to that, I probably slept about 12 hours.
Fair.
Wasn't counting,
Fair.
but I was just like a zombie that day.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Whistle Kick Championship. How you doing? It just said, okay, but it became my way of, you said this before, we can never give back fully what martial arts puts into us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the motivation to do this particular job is not about the money or the accolades. It's not even about me. It
Mm-hmm.
comes from a statistic that 1 to 5 people will join martial arts because of a tournament. So and that varies numbers depending on how big it is or little it is, if you're doing
Sure.
or whatever it is. But the effort I'm doing, I am putting on a sense for community, for people to come together
For sure.
and bringing people in. I will never know if I fully reach that goal. I can't,
Right.
but that is one of the 10 goals with every tournament, is to have somebody eventually join and they go, okay, I need to do this. And whistle kick tournaments are something that is very, very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
We have this, and one of the things I make it a mandate is that every referee has to congratulate every competitor.
Mm.
Some way,
Mm.
whether it's a fist bump or whether it's advice if they need how to do their kata better, form,
Mm-hmm.
bumse, whatever you call it, or whatever they can do to do something better, that they get out of it more than just a medal or a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Tournaments are not cheap.
No.
Gatherings are not cheap.
No.
I fully recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
But the value in it is going to be that, and this is my full dream of this, is for people to when they hear Whistle Kick is putting on a karate tournament, they want to be there, and it's the stage show for the day.
For
You know,
sure.
that
For
have
sure.
these things and the way people do things, because I want them. We lost a sense of community, and there's and I'm gonna rip off one person, and you did not meet in Whistle Kick, Victor.
Okay.
He's from Kansas and a great man, but he explained something in a TikTok video. Is you have 3 places in life. You have your first place, which is your home, where you recharge, you're yourself, you relax, you dine, it's your shelter. You have your second place, which is your place of employment or your work, where you put in the labor to build into your home. You have small relationships, but you do what you can, you know? Then you have your third place. Your third place is where the community comes together. You have the churches, you have the gatherings or the town socials. Those where people come together that you don't necessarily know everybody. And we lost this a lot during COVID. You know, it's not school, it's not anything like that. It's where the community comes together and they're all celebrating one cause. And when you talk about tournaments, and this is also can apply to your dojo, dojang, or whatever you call it, folks. This is for your listeners too. But where they have that place where they can come together, they can feel safe, and everybody comes together around that one thing, which could be just being better. Or be their best self. Everybody's doing that, the better we can be.
Man, 100% agree, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm not Whistle Kick affiliated.
Yeah, you are now.
Well, yeah, well, you know what I'm. Now, the first thing was I interviewed Tommy, and Tommy was like, "Hey, I don't know if you heard of Whistle Kick. You should talk to Andrew. You should be on the podcast." And I guess in the background, he was like, "You guys got to get this guy come up and teach."
It's usually Tommy.
Right. And so then I sat down and had an interview with Andrew. And then Andrew's like, "We got to get you up here to teach." And I'm getting messages from Andrew, messages from Tommy.
Yep.
I have Steve on my podcast.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
love that
like,
episode.
I'm having this conversation with myself where I'm saying these guys have sat down with me collectively maybe 3 hours. There's no way that they can know enough about me in 3 hours time to know that I know what I'm talking about, to know that I am who I am. Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, but for some reason, something that I said or the way that I carried myself or the way that I present my knowledge, you all wanted me up there.
Yeah.
And in coming up there, I found a community that I didn't realize that I needed. And so I'm telling, I'm telling everybody, like,
yeah,
if you find your community, your little tribe, that's the martial arts that exists within the dojo, it's going to get stronger. It's going to get better. It's going to make your technique better by going out.
Exactly.
By fellowshipping with other people, by visiting the other churches, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah. So Marshall Summit affected me and changed my life in ways that I cannot express. The hotel is booked for next year. You know?
I got mine too, brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I got mine too. Yeah.
I'm ready. I already have ideas of classes. Me and Craig are going to teach a Kempo class where him and I both teach the same tactic. And we spend a whole class breaking down one of the Kempo tactics.
Fantastic.
Me and Steve are talking about teaching a class together. Yeah. I got a couple of classes that I'm going to teach. So I'm looking forward to it. Greatly looking forward to it. And I'm telling everybody that's listening to this, I'm telling everybody that doesn't listen to my podcast but knows me, that is in the martial arts community, that y'all need to get there.
Yeah. It really does change you, and it's the love that you come back, and when you realize that everybody is the same, that's the third place. That's the third place that was created, and they're just saying, you belong here. You
Mm-hmm.
belong with us. Jenny Nather, there's nothing wrong with me. That
Mm-hmm.
there's like, when you look at it or some of the problems and you go, shoot, you're having that trouble too? And you
Mm-hmm.
could sit with somebody who it seems so bizarre that when you look at it, like I met most of these people 2 years ago,
Mm.
but it feels like we all grew up together. It feels immediately, and there's another one as well, All In Weekend, which is
You
up
know,
in Vermont.
I'm not saying that I'm going to All In Weekend, but I am saying that the last day of All In Weekend is my birthday. And that feels like a pretty good birthday. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm going.
So
I'm thinking about it,
yeah.
but it's my birthday on the day.
And so All In Weekend though, but All In Weekend is a different thing. It's completely different. It's indescribable, but we all get together at this camp and it's limited to a certain amount of people, but you have 48 hours of training. I have 3 days because I did the leadership track last year. So I got an
Mm,
extra day out of it, which is cool. But
right.
you're in this town where there's, safe, everything's good. You live there, you're in the camp the whole time, you're fed the whole time. You go through this training, and I mean, some of it is tough and hard, but the very end of it, you end up getting a lesson that you never even knew you needed.
Mm,
And this is the genius of Whistle Kick, is like, because the ability is when you find that community, we all want to unspokenly lift each other up.
mm,
Unspokenly, we don't have to say, hey, I need a hand, or hey, I need that, or just something like, I noticed you were struggling a bit. Do you need something or anything? Like, let's go ahead, let's go together. I'm that
mm-hmm,
same type of guy. Like, come here, like,
mm-hmm,
come here, let's do something. And I mean, maybe it's my upbringing in general, but it's like, my upbringing was bring people to the dinner table. Like,
mm,
maybe that's why I got so fat for a while. Here, but they used to go, come here, come here, come here. Like, come here, let's do this, and naturally want to do that because as you train back to All In Weekend, not only do you have the food that's included in the price and everything, because it's like, I don't know, it was like $320
something
for,
like that.
yeah,
Something like that.
$320, food, lodging included, and you get an awesome amount of training. Now, at the
Mm-hmm,
end of it, your body is beat. Like, your body is absolutely beat, but your brain is running on all cylinders. There's
mm-hmm,
times you don't really sleep that much,
mm-hmm,
through the days, and you go, holy cow, I think I only slept maybe, I don't know, in the 3 days, I probably slept 4 hours a night,
mm-hmm.
but I want to go back and I want to do it again.
Absolutely.
And my body, while going down the mountain, is going, what the hell? You want to do what? No, but this is
Right.
cool because it's also, I want to add one other bit to that. In this town, there is barely any cell phone service.
Mm.
So
Sounds great.
you are sheltered. I mean, there's safety and there's
Yeah,
ways
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
contact an emergency and safety and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But you are sheltered in this bubble. Martial artist. How lovely would it be to train without a single distraction?
Mm.
Where
Mm-hmm.
you're just training, you're just loving this, you're in the moment, you're disconnected from the world.
Mm.
Everything
Mm-hmm.
else is later.
Absolutely.
That is my recharge, and that is one of the things I told people in my day job. These are non-negotiable times.
Mm-hmm.
These are
Mm-hmm.
non-negotiable. I need to go do this because I helps me be the person I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Create that, Whistle Kick creates moments that are indescribable magic. And I'm
It's
not saying this as the tournament director, but I'm saying this as Nick Tabor. Because
mm-hmm.
who I was years ago, losing one of the closest members of my family. When I lost my grandmother, she died at 96, and most people were saying it wasn't long enough. But she, that messed me up. And then boom, here comes Jeremy. Boom, come here. You need to see us. Come here. And then you have that community that lifts you up and wants you to be better. And I tell people every single thing about my life has progressively got better because I said yes to whistle kick. Time and time and time again. The only thing I have not done is get a whistle kick tattoo. That, while my wife is probably listening, that is coming. But let's see. But at least we want to do more and more and more, and we want to grow. But that's the thing on community, man. That's the third place that our dojo needs to have, and that's the third place that whistle kick is creating.
For sure. And I don't know if Jeremy gets the credit or who gets the credit, but you all have done a wonderful job. The community is second to none.
I will tell you, Jeremy will never accept the credit.
Right.
He will never do that. He's a humble man.
He is,
but it is really, he could not do it alone. It's every single one of us adding a piece to the pie.
For sure.
Every single one of us doing it.
I think in part it's the tenets that are in place that are reinforced.
Yes.
The fact that everybody has to train. You can't describe, if you've been doing martial arts for 32 years, you've been to a tournament, you've been to a banquet. I said no to the banquet this year because I've been to banquets. I know what they are.
Like it, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
It's nothing like it.
The fact, I've been to the banquet where that person got an award because they paid $200 for their seat. I've been to those banquets. I've been to, they bought their recognitions. Okay. Yeah. I've been there. I'm not saying that everybody that's recognized in martial arts bought it. I'm just saying I've been there. I've experienced it. I've experienced the disingenuousness that comes from the average martial art event where masters are walking around with their noses in the sky, looking down at everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
None of that exists.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we do with that is we mandate having name tags and no titles are on there. You said you interviewed Tommy Given and you interviewed Steve Watson. Do you know their actual ranks?
No.
You never will.
No.
You never will. And, there are others like Mark Warner is like, what rank? I'm like, what rank are you? He's like, I don't know. Well, here's like, it's like, I lost track somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
Like,
just do this thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it is really like, I have the title of sensei, and sensei is, I'm not sensei because I got to black belt. I'm sensei because you accept me for who I am. You were a sensei or whatever your title is. But
I go by sensei because it's the one that comes before. That's what it means.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, you have that, if you have that title as sensei, you are sensei because your students accept you as that.
Absolutely.
So when you take the titles down and take the ranks away, you have somebody like Tommy Given. I'm pretty sure I've never seen that man wear a belt. I'm really sure that he does that because
about to get one of those belts that Jeremy and Andrew has that's white on one side and black on the other. I love that belt. You got one of those?
I have mine.
I gotta get one of those.
There's a good one with Kataro, man. They are ones that when the white fades, it fades to black. When the black fades to white, and it's a really good one because that one I love a lot because I teach my students a lot of this too. And I'm gonna steal a little bit from what you would say.
Okay,
you're the world's worst teacher, but the best student. A teacher is never a teacher unless they are always a student. Because you always learn, and if you stop ever learning, it means you're dead. So one of the most freeing things in the English language that I had a mentor teach me once is the phrase, I don't know. But a martial artist way would be, okay, I don't know, let's figure out a way around that. Let's figure out a way to learn, because I've learned stuff from people. I go, oh my God, yeah. or
Mm-hmm.
even little things like
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Campo, who runs Matic. I was doing a role play and we were doing de-escalations, and it was a situation where a student didn't want to join class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling off today, and then the person in character said, I found out my grandmother's dying.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right around the anniversary of my grandma's death, and I just went, oh God. And just as me went, oh shoot. And then I think it was Jeremy who stopped me, and I stepped aside and I went back, and Dennis was like, that's really good, but just be real.
Mm-hmm.
I went, oh, and that sunk in. He's like, be you who you are. If your grandmother died or it's the anniversary, tell that person, my grandma died, because you don't want to be this master on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Sensei Nick, who sits up above you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, how are
Mm-hmm.
you? I am here. You are you. No, no, dude. Here, boiled down, I have the title, but that's why my podcast is Real Talk with Sensei Nick.
Mm-hmm.
It's still me who comes in
Mm-hmm.
and goes, all right, I'm struggling too. I'm having a real tough day with this particular technique. I'm having a real tough day here. Let's work at it together, because I can
Mm-hmm.
learn from my students as much as they can learn from me.
Mm-hmm. Brother, that's an amazing place that we're going to end. Before we end, we'll emphasize that. We'll double down on that thought by saying running water never grows stagnant.
Right on.
And then also, where can the people find you?
Okay. So you can look me up on Facebook. Tabor's Martial Arts is my page. I'm going to get a little more active on that one myself. You can look up Real Talk with Sensei Nick on your catcher of choice. I think it's on everywhere now. You can do that. You can email me, taborsmartialarts@gmail.com. If you want to chat about anything, you can also email nick@whistlekick.com with whatever else
Awesome.
you want to talk about too.
Awesome. Nick, I also want to thank you for being a part of the podcast. I want to thank you the same as I thank every other person that has sat down in front of me, because now by having this conversation and also being a part of Martial Summit, you're a part of my martial arts journey, whether you like it or not. And I
I
thank you for
love it.
that. Thank
And
you
you're
for
a
that.
part of mine as well. You're a
Absolutely.
sucker.
Absolutely. Sucker. I want to thank everybody for listening. And as always, guys,